walking through page 13 in the notes packet. This is some application questions relating to perpendicular bisectors and just parallel and perpendicular lines in general. So we have this line here, L1, and we see that it passes through point A, located at 0, -2, and point B, located at 8, 0. It's asking us to write down the coordinates of the midpoint of the line segment that connects A and B. So visually, we know that's going to be right about there. And if we want to find the coordinates of that midpoint, we want to use our midpoint formula. So remember, m is equal to x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. Where this is our average x, this is our average y. So if we do that, we get, for x, 0 plus 8 over 2, which is 4. And for y, we're going to get 0 plus -2 over 2, which means y is going to be -1. So our midpoint there is going to be at 4, -1. Okay? And then we have another line intersects the y-axis at 0, 3, and it is parallel to line 1. So it says find the gradient of line 1. Well, if the lines are parallel, then that means they must have the same gradient, right? So the gradient of L1 is whatever it is, but the gradient of our L2 has to be the exact same thing. So we can answer this by finding the gradient of L1. So the gradient there, we're going to use our slope formula, right? x2 minus x1 over y2 minus y1, or change in, let me write that formula, right? It's going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? Change in y over change in x. So it's going to be 0 minus -2 over 8 minus 0, which is going to become positive 2 out of 8, or 1 over 4. So that's going to be the gradient of our L2. And then for the line, for the equation of that line, we know it has a gradient of 1 over 4, and we know it runs through the point 0, 3. We might recognize this as the y-intercept of L2. So therefore, we know that this c, which is the y-intercept, has to be 3. So the equation for L2 is y is equal to 1 over 4x plus 3. Okay? And then we have this diagram down here, so it gives us the point 9, and it tells us that line AB has this equation, and we know that this line is perpendicular to that. Okay. So we want to find the coordinates of A and B. Well, we can recognize that as our x and y intercept of the line segment here, right? So this line segment has this equation, and if you notice here, this is going to be the point 0, y, where y is some value, and over here, this is going to be x, 0, right? So x is 0 for A, and y is 0 for B, because they are x and y intercepts. So to find the coordinate for A, well, we're going to plug in 0 for x and solve for y. So that means for A, 0 plus 4y is equal to 12. That just means 4y is equal to 12, or y is equal to 3. So for point A, we're at 0, 3. And then for B, we're going to plug in 0 for y, and so we get x plus 4 times 0 is equal to 0, or just is equal to 12, was the original equation, meaning that x is just equal to 12, because 4 times 0 is 0. So this is going to be located B, it's going to be at 12, 0. Okay, so now we want the gradient of CD. And to find the gradient of CD, well, we only have the one point on it, right? We only have point C, so we can't use our slope formula. But we know that it is perpendicular to AB. And we can determine the slope of AB, right? If we find the gradient of this line, then we can find the gradient of this line. So the first step is to find the gradient of AB, and that will tell you what the gradient of CD must be. So to find that, I'm going to find, so this is M, I'll give it a little subscript, AB, make it clear that it is the gradient of the line that connects A and B, and that we can use our slope formula. So our change in Y is going to be 0 minus 3 over 12 minus 0, or negative 3 over 12, or negative 1 over 4. So if this line has a gradient of, right, so MAB has a gradient of negative 1 over 4, well then MCD, right, the gradient of this line that's perpendicular to it has to be the opposite reciprocal. It has to be 4. So the gradient of CD has to be 4, meaning for the equation of CD, we know it's going to take the form y equals 4x plus b, because we know that the slope is 4. We just don't know what b is, but we know that it runs through this line 9, 5. So if we take xy there, then we have 5 is equal to 4 times 9 plus b. 5 is equal to 36 plus b, meaning b has to be equal to negative 31. So the equation there is going to be y is equal to 4x minus 31. And that completes page 13.